Taking a look back at Axie Infinity here, you can see we have broken below the 1618 here. This candle does close in 30 minutes, so if it closes down here, we'll have our first substantial close below the 1618. So we could very well see a retest of this for resistance and see a further move down. You can see we did find some support off of the 1618. From the bottom here to this top was around a 33% move, so somewhat decent, but ultimately it did break back down to the downside. If we turn on the Ichimoku cloud and the EMA ribbon on the daily, you can see that the EMA ribbon is very wide here and catching up the price action. We have also yet to test it during this move to the downside, which really isn't a great sign because usually we don't break these on the first move up. The Ichimoku cloud is pretty far away from us and relatively thin, so if we do manage to break this to the upside, say somewhere over here, we could have a pretty decent chance of breaking through the Ichimoku cloud as well and setting higher highs from here. But as of right now, it's not really looking that great. If we hop on the 4-hourly chart, you can see that the price has been interacting with the EMA ribbon quite a bit throughout this move, especially here and here, but ultimately we keep getting sent lower. Now, since we have tested the EMA ribbon quite a bit throughout this move to the downside, I suspect that we'll definitely have somewhat of a bounce relatively soon, whether it be off of this 2618 down here at around $16 or relatively soon. But we should be able to break this to the upside considering how many tests we've had of it. Take a look on the hourly, you can see starting from back here, once we broke the 200 EMA to the downside, we have yet to break above it again. We just keep testing it as resistance and moving further down. But it is a good thing that we keep testing it because the more we test it, the more likely we are to break it to the upside. If we take a look at the USDT pair, you can see that we're currently testing this high here. Now you can see there really isn't a whole lot of price action through here, so I'm not really surprised it's not holding up that well. I believe that we'll likely see a move all the way down to this high, which is around $10 before we see a substantial bounce, especially considering that this high right here, or this level of resistance, sent the price down around 73% when it was tested. So I would expect somewhat, especially if this moves down here relatively quickly, that we could bounce off of the $10 level and see quite the substantial move to the upside. Now, is it enough to break all-time highs? We'll just have to see what happens when we get there. But again, if we do move down here very quickly, I would not be surprised if we saw a blast off out of the $10 level. So something's up here. It looks like we are still continuing the downtrend for the most part. Our next stop will likely be around $16, which is around the 2618 level. Now, considering that we really don't have a whole lot of price history within this range, as I've mentioned on the USDT chart here, you see there really isn't a whole lot of trading going on here. So considering that, this level might not hold all that well, so we could very well see that move down to $10 that I mentioned, which is around the 3618 here. If we do manage to find a bounce somewhere relatively soon, we really need to break the EMA ribbon back to the upside, as well as this red box of support. As you can see, this red box of support held up Axie Infinity for a few months here, so this is probably going to be its biggest hurdle. And ultimately look for a break below $16 for that move to around $10. This is all I have for Axie Infinity. If you enjoyed this video, go to the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so, as I try to post content daily. As always, it's not financial advice, and I'll see you in the next one.